Welcome to supporting your transition into the occupational therapy workforce. On behalf of the Ontario Society of Occupational Therapists, I extend a hearty congratulations as you complete your professional education, and we extend our sincere welcome to the profession and share wisdom from your OSOC colleagues as you enter the OT workforce. The content of this presentation is largely derived from your colleagues. Consider it the sharing of advice from one colleague to another. We've canvassed members and volunteers in the Society for tips and insights into the kinds of information that they found most valuable in making the transition into practice. In this regard, we share the wisdom of colleagues who may have many years of practice experience under their belt. The point is, they're your colleagues and your professional resource. We all come together under the provincial professional community that is the Ontario Society of Occupational Therapists. Throughout the presentation, I'll highlight specific ways in which you might use OSOT or expect to be served by the association. Let's get started. Tip number 1. Perhaps the best place to start is with the advice that may be the hardest to accept at this point in time. Invariably, graduating students wish for one more placement to consolidate learning in an area they haven't yet had fieldwork, or worry that they don't remember the important points or strategies from those classes back in first year. You know more than you think you know. Your entry-level competencies are a solid foundation for ongoing professional development and learning. Remember, every new grad amongst you and every new grad before you feels or felt the same way. You don't need to know everything. No professional in any profession knows all they need to know before they start a job. Being a professional is a lifelong learning adventure. Think how well honed your learning skills are right now. You've been nurtured in a culture that promotes self-directed learning, and this skill will have a lifelong value for you. Remember, Ontario produces graduates from amongst the top occupational therapy schools in the world. You are prepared. The second piece of advice may seem redundant in a province where the practice of occupational therapy is regulated. But every year we get calls from graduates and occupational therapists returning from leave who realize too late that you really do have to be registered with the regulator, the College of Occupational Therapists of Ontario, before you start your job, before you start your orientation, even before you call yourself an occupational therapist. So, be prepared and ready yourself for the first job by getting your registration with the college well underway. If you're not familiar with the requirements and processes, seek these out. The website for the college is available on the slide and handout. New graduates should be reminded that the College of Occupational Therapists of Ontario, CODO for short, provides for a provisional registration for candidates who meet all the requirements except the successful completion of the certification exam. This can enable you to begin work before writing the exam, providing you have a job offer and a means for formal supervision by a registered occupational therapist. Link with the Society during this process. We can help you engage your professional liability insurance to meet the application requirement of the college. Link also with the Canadian Association of Occupational Therapists, CAOT, should you need information about the certification exam which they administer. Tip number 3, network, network, network. Now is the time to cultivate and engage your professional network and to think about how you can really use those gracious networks to support, inform, provide reference, advice, etc. You undoubtedly already have significant networks of classmates, clinical preceptors, family, friends. These are all important as you make big transitions in life. OSOT can offer you a new network, one that is truly focused on your profession, a network where virtually every one of over 4,800 members has been where you are now and has lived, experienced it to share. Get to know the society. We are a community of occupational therapists and student occupational therapists who come together to support each other and the profession we share. What does OSOT do? The society exists to serve and represent its members. This is distinctly different from the other professional body in Ontario, the College of Occupational Therapists of Ontario. The college is a legal body that exists to protect the interests of the public. And although it's a self-regulating college, that is, the majority of council members are occupational therapists, by law, it can be seen to be cannot be seen to be representing the professional interest or serving member occupational therapists. This is why there is a provincial professional association to provide the balance of professional and public attention. And of course, this is why membership in a professional association is voluntary, because it is up to the professionals themselves to deem themselves and their profession important enough to serve and represent. OSOT members so strongly believe in their profession and the need to promote it and protect and expand consumer access to our services that they belong to the society, and in so doing, support these missions. OSOT's work is focused in the areas of member services, professional development and practice support services, and in professional promotion or marketing and advocacy to position occupational therapy in Ontario's constantly evolving healthcare system. Through the Members Research Fund, the Society also supports occupational therapy research and the development of the profession's evidence base. And what are our visions, our goals, and our dreams? Here you'll see both the mission of the Society to lead by providing vision, voice, visibility, and value for Ontario occupational therapists. And the two vision statements developed through member consultation, one for the Society and one for the profession. Take a moment to reflect on these. Hopefully, they'll express your hopes and visions for the profession as well. If you're viewing this presentation as a graduating student, you're likely already a member of OSOT. In theory, you're already using all the services and benefits of membership. But we do understand relevance and timing are always critical, and you've had a lot to pay attention to in the past 2 years. Now may be the time that your association really comes into relevance. Student membership in OSOT is free. If you're not a member yet, head to the website and join anytime. Graduating students will enjoy services to September 30th. The new membership year commences October 1st. And as OSOT's graduation gift to you, your new graduate membership year is complimentary. In fact, this includes complimentary professional liability insurance as well. We're in touch with all graduating students by the beginning of August each year to share details. More advice from colleagues. Tip number 4, assure your liability protection. This sounds ominous, but it is both a professional obligation and an important step to take to protect yourself as you move into practice. Professional liability insurance, or malpractice insurance as it is sometimes referred to, is an insurance coverage that protects a professional in the event of errors, omission, or negligence in their practice that results in harm or damages to their client. None of us expect to ever need such coverage, and truthfully, incidents in our profession are rare. But accidents do happen, errors can be made, and it's possible that a legal suit could be brought against you. Best to be protected. Coverage pays for any damages a professional is ordered to pay to a claimant by a court of law and covers legal expenses required to defend a lawsuit. You can see that insurance is good protection and supports the professional. In Ontario, professional liability insurance coverage is a requirement for registration in the College of Occupational Therapy. This may seem odd for a body that is vested in public protection if insurance protects a professional. However, ensuring that a professional has sufficient coverage will assure that a claimant that has been wronged will get the compensation they are deemed to deserve. And in this regard, it serves the public too. CODO requires a professional liability insurance policy that provides $5 million coverage and includes a unique coverage for sexual abuse therapy and counseling. The Sexual Abuse Therapy and Counseling Fund coverage provides funds for consumers who submit to the college that they have been sexually abused by an occupational therapist and enables them to access necessary therapy and counseling. The requirement that the college provide such funding is a provision of the Regulated Health Professions Act. OSOT's members' professional liability insurance policy meets and indeed exceeds all of the college's requirement. One last important point. It's truly important that occupational therapists ensure that they are covered every day of every year they practice, and even when they are on leave or for a few years after retirement. You don't want to get caught without insurance coverage because professional liability insurance policies are claims-made policies. This means that they are only in effect when one is covered at the time that a claim is made. Think about it. A claim could come forward several months or even years after an incident. The point is, it's not enough to be covered at the time an incident occurred. You need to be covered when a claim is made. So, this is really good and important advice. Always make sure that you renew your professional liability insurance in a timely manner. OSOT's plan covers members from October 1st to October 1st of the following year, just to ensure there is no moment uncovered, as long as one remembers to renew by October 1st each year. Make this a professional habit that you get used to quickly, and you'll never run into trouble. If you're shopping for a policy, ensure it meets the required elements noted on the previous slide, but ensure that it has components that serve your additional interests too. OSOT insurance policy also provides coverage for a legal expenses endorsement. This is actually even more critical to the occupational therapist because this coverage covers one's expenses related to a complaint that a consumer may make to the college about you. And complaints to the college are far more common in the profession of occupational therapy than a legal suit. This insurance endorsement covers any legal expenses you may have in responding to a complaint or addressing the discipline committee of the college. The plan also covers criminal defense expenses when one is found not guilty. We receive a lot of questions about insurance and suggest that you view our shorter webinar on insurance coverage for occupational therapists or visit the new graduate resource pages on the website. The best advice is to ensure that you know what you're purchasing when you engage your professional liability insurance and how to access and use the benefits of your policy. Don't get into the habit of just purchasing insurance because the college requires you to do so. Depending on where you work, you may be asked to carry general liability insurance. General liability, sometimes called commercial liability, covers expenses related to injury, damages, or issues such as slander that do not relate to the actual practice of occupational therapy, but may relate to how and where you practice. For example, an occupational therapist who damages an expensive bike left in the driveway of a client's home as she or he backs out of the driveway. Or an occupational therapist whose walkway to their clinic has not been adequately cleared of ice, resulting in a client fall. Requirements for this coverage is more common in the private sector. Public hospitals cover their employees, but those that are in private practice or work as independent contractors should consider this protection. OTs who set up their own practice or business should also consider insurance coverage for their private practice. You can view OSOT's archived webinar listing on the website for a webinar on this coverage, or call the office for more information. OSOT has had a long-standing relationship with our broker, your broker, ProLink. They have served OTs well and know occupational therapy well. Our insurance programs are underwritten by Trisura and are positioned to provide coverage, value, service excellence, and competitive pricing. To help get started in meeting your professional requirements and assuring your professional protection, our insurer has granted complimentary insurance to cover all new graduate members in their new graduate membership year. You will receive communications identifying how to engage this complimentary insurance by August of each year. On to tip number 5. With all this advice, you're now ready to practice, now to find the job. There are jobs out there. What do experienced colleagues recommend? Well, they recommend that you find a job that's right for you. This means doing as much preparation thinking through what's important to you as you do looking for job postings. You'll want to consider things like where your strengths lie, what kinds of supports you might wish to see in the job environment to support your success, what kinds of experiences you are most excited by, etc. Remember, this is a career you're starting, not just a job. That said, the perfect job may not be ready and waiting for you, so consider what you might be able to compromise on. Be clear on the basics that would be required to ensure that it's the kind of role that you can succeed at, because a first job with a great reference can lead to the next, and the next, and one of those could be your perfect job. About location. It's not exactly like real estate, where location is all that matters. We see about 300 plus new graduates enter our workforce each year. And the good news is that we see about that many retire and leave the profession. The trick is the vacancies don't always match up with where graduates want to work. Sometimes making a commitment to a different location when you're able allows you to find a job better suited to you or that provides more opportunity for growth. And this can lead to the ability to move on to your ideal location for the next job. How to find the job? Where to look? Well, there are an increasing plethora of online job sites. OSOT's website is amongst them. We encourage you to visit our career posting page regularly. Monitoring healthcare trends, looking for new funding announcements that may create new jobs or business opportunities can be important ways to augment your job search. And of course, OSOT can help you with this. Monitor your monthly updates for news and opportunities impacting the profession. And last but not least, back to that network advice. Network, network, network. get more specific, here are a few ways that OSOT can help you with your job search and career planning. Check the career posting page on the website regularly. Practice resource pages in the OSOT members only section of the site provide a wealth of information for each of the key sectors in which occupational therapists work in the province: hospitals, communities, schools, mental health, auto insurance, primary care, etc. Beyond the terrific resources you'll find to help you practice in that sector, you'll find key policy and sector related legislation that is relevant to the sector. Think how this kind of background can help you prepare for that job interview. You may wish to consult with OSOT's membership data and compensation reports to get an idea of what our profession's data looks like and a basic sense of what occupational therapists are making out there. OSOT's mentorship program can be a career-long resource for you, but there's something to be said for engaging a mentor as you begin to engage with the profession and look for support in your job search. To this end, OSOT's sector teams can also be sources of consultative information. Look for contact information for our teams on the website under the About tab. OSOT's new graduate resource is found on the website under the Student New Grad tab and includes a listing of sites as well as a rich resource of job searching and interview preparation tips. Tip number 6, ensure your role and services are valued and appropriately compensated. At the end of the day, this advice is really about making sure you really understand the terms of the offer you may be considering. Basics like hours, pay, benefits, vacations, etc. But in addition, make sure you understand how occupational therapy fits within the organization. What is its reputation? How is interprofessional care provided, etc. You should feel comfortable to ask around to ensure that you feel comfortable with the reputation the organization you are considering has in the broader community. Does it sound like the organization's business values align with yours? Particularly in a contracted position, you'll want to understand the risks. What security, if any, do you have? How quickly could you be let go? Are there assurances at all about the volume of work you can expect? Will a certain number of paid hours be guaranteed? Does your hourly rate make sense? How much will a company be charging for your time as compared to what they will pay you? These are all examples of questions that are both important and fair to consider and find answers to. Remember that an interview is a two-way interchange in every way. You will want to know as much about the job, the organization, future plans for development, and opportunities for growth as they will want to know about you. If this doesn't fit into the structure of a formalized interview, don't hesitate to indicate that you would be interested in further discussion or have some questions should you be a candidate considered for the role. OSOT offers a complimentary members legal assistance plan, and this may be a resource you may wish to use as you consider an employment or independent contract. As a member, telephone advice is free 24 hours, 7 days a week. If you have a question about what's reasonable to expect, what a term in a contract means, etc., give the service a call. Should you wish to have a lawyer review a contract or take on more than telephone advice, you can secure a plan lawyer for a reduced fee. Plan lawyers reduce their fees by 25% for OSOT members. This member benefit actually extends to all aspects of the law, so it's a good benefit to know about. Should you have landlord issues, family or real estate law questions, any type of legal question, it's always worth a call. We particularly encourage members to use the legal advisory service if, when practicing, one is concerned about a practice situation that may have legal or regulatory issues. It is always worth a free call to determine whether there might be something someone should be doing to avoid a legal or regulatory risk. Build this kind of consultation into your practice early on. You'll find more information and contact numbers for the Legal Advisory Service on the OSOT website under the Membership tab. So you've got a job. Fantastic. Next tip is about preparing yourself to excel there. Understand your practice environment. Hopefully, a good orientation program will make a good beginning in your organization. But the kind of information on this slide is the kind of information that helps you make good decisions, to plan programs that will work well, integrate with other components of the health system, and promote client success. And help you see where change and perhaps advocacy for occupational therapy could make a difference to improve the client experience or the success of your programs. Employment policies, your protections under the Ontario Employment Standards Act, and your employer's human resource policies are important to know so that you know your rights and privileges and procedures to take, both to follow policy and be served by it. Understanding how the health system works is important to contribute to the smooth integration of your services with those of other components your client will interact with. Don't hesitate to ask your new colleagues lots of questions in this regard. Sharing learned wisdom is one way your colleagues can support your transition to practice. OSOT's sectoral practice resource pages mentioned previously are a valuable resource to address this advice. See the Practice Resource tab on the website. Tip number 8, embrace the responsibilities of regulated practice. Becoming familiar with the responsibilities of being a regulated health professional is one of the learnings in your first year of practice. Understanding the professional obligation of attention to the standards and guidelines of the College of Occupational Therapists of Ontario is important and will guide your practice throughout your career. While the standards and guides are obligations, most occupational therapists find these are also valued resources that guide self-directed professional development plans, provide direction for practice, assist decision-making, and sometimes even help to advocate a position or practice for occupational therapy. Develop good habits to be on top of your quality assurance requirements. CODO's competency review and evaluation, which you will participate in every 5 years or so, is easy to comply with when you have addressed your annual commitments. Further, quality assurance activities completed annually help occupational therapists feel consciously competent, aware that they are doing the right things, and asking questions or seeking guidance when it is not so clear. New and experienced therapists alike advise that a commitment to lifelong learning creates the type of professional that everyone wants to work with. Someone that is comfortable evolving their practice, who not only seeks new knowledge, but also seeks ways in which to integrate or transfer that new knowledge into practice. And one that has perspective and diverse insights that lend well to providing advice, suggestion, or support to colleagues. You are amongst the profession's most confident seekers of evidence. Recognize that this is a skill you will bring to a practice environment that may not have as many staff with such comfort. This is a skill you can share and certainly use to seek evidence and new information to support programming and practice. Once outside the classroom, you'll find all sorts of great professional development opportunities. Workshops, conferences, webinars, interest groups, virtual communities of practice, resources of the web, journals, other colleagues. Use them all. OSOT's professional development programming is intentionally diverse because we all learn in different ways and have different amounts of time and schedules to devote to our own professional development. Webinar resources provide a more easily accommodated access to PD and can in fact be enjoyed when and where you want. All of our webinars are archived for later viewing or purchased by members. While online resources like the website, our monthly updates, provide information and up-to-the-minute news relating to OT practice in Ontario, many say there's nothing like the learning that comes when sharing an experience with another, such as happens at OSOT workshops and our annual conference. Try to make the OSOT conference an annual PD retreat and gift to yourself. A chance to learn, renew, and recharge is how most members describe it. And it's also a true celebration of our profession. OSOT's conference is held annually in the fall. A workshop-based conference, you'll note the program hosts a new graduate stream targeted to meet your needs on many levels. We hope we'll see you there. Tip number 10 to a graduating student might seem a little obvious. For many experienced occupational therapists, however, building evidence into practice isn't as easy or natural a skill as it may be for you. The capacity to seek and then critically review the literature is a skill that you have. Others share this tip as something they wish they had more. You may well be tired of hearing about evidence, evidence, evidence. But remember, payers do look for evidence, in fact, proof that things will work. It's an ever more demanded expectation that new proposals for funding be well grounded with evidence to support the impacts that can be expected. Graduating students and preceptors of students may well have continuing access to university libraries and journal access. This is invaluable. Plan to use them regularly. An 11th focus of advice from colleagues is definitely to build networking into your daily practice patterns. You'll find formal networks at work, your team, the OTs working in the facility, etc. But don't hesitate to create new ones. Interest groups, journal clubs, lunch dates, etc. Increasingly, the internet supports accessible professional networking through social media platforms, virtual communities of practice, blogs, etc. Find resources that support you well. OSOT can support you to find networks. Connect through the website or office to access our team and task force structure, the OT interest group listing, our mentorship program, the Find an OT colleague portal, and others. Contact the office to learn more. After all, the first step to networking is to reach out to someone. Perhaps that first step is to reach out to OSOT. Tip number 12 is all about doing your part to promote occupational therapy. Why? Because no one feels that our profession is well enough understood or recognized in the general public. But together we can make a difference. While associations like OSOT accept responsibility for larger scale initiatives to promote the profession, such as our digital media campaigns and public-facing websites, every occupational therapist can and should build promotion into their day-to-day professional practice. Proudly use your occupational therapy language and seek teachable moments amongst the many audiences you interact with each day. Bigger ideas? Need support? That's when a call to OSOT is important and a natural step to take. You can imagine how delighted we are when a member has suggestions on how best to promote the profession. Let's all do our part to promote occupational therapy. Leaving it to the next guy, well, you know what happens then. It just never quite gets done. We hope you're aware of OSOT's public-facing website, otontario.ca. Developed to speak to the public, referral sources, and others directly, the site is your promotional resource. Use it freely and often. Our newest public-facing site is enage.ca. Enabling aging, growth, and engagement is focused on profiling occupational therapy as a dynamic resource for older adults as they experience the normal life transitions of senior years. In addition to these resources, you'll also find promotional resources and tips that you can use to promote occupational therapy or your programs or services in your day-to-day practice. These you'll find on the OSOT website. See the Promotional Resources tab. Advocacy and professional promotion really go hand in hand. You can appreciate that we could be speaking to all the government officials in the world to recommend a change in policy, but if they don't really understand what occupational therapy is, does, or how we add value, or why we could be the solution to their problem, our advocacy efforts fall flat. OSOT's advocacy and positioning documents are member documents, and you're welcome to read, use, and promote these if they can assist you in any way. For issues of interest and relevance, monitor the advocacy tab and pages of the website. This brings to mind our members' 13th tip and advice relating to keeping an eye to the big picture. We know it's tough as you work into a new job to look beyond the role description, your employing organization, etc. However, the more we're able to see our practice, the more strategic and informed we'll be in positioning our services to make a difference. And of course, it's all about making a difference for the clients that we serve and to the efficacy of the system in which we work. It's good advice from those who have experience to know how important it is to suggest developing habits of monitoring the politics, trends, and issues that will affect your work. Awareness breeds discussion, and talking about things that affect your practice, that matter to you, well, it helps build your resolve to do something about it. Talking with your colleagues about issues affecting you and your clients can build a strong advocacy agenda. Where do you find the kind of information that helps you monitor the big picture? Look to the media, government websites, Ontario Health, and OSOT, of course. The Society is monitoring issues affecting occupational therapy practice in all sectors across the province. And with members' input, we're taking steps to address the opportunities and to minimize the risks that changing policies may present. Make it a habit to monitor the news listing of the OSOT website homepage and the current issues in the Advocacy tab. Last but not least, everyone would agree that we get most out of the things when we truly engage with them. So tip number 14 is to truly engage yourself in the profession. Being an active participant in your team meetings or in your organization's staff meetings, reading your OSOT monthly updates, even watching the nightly news and hearing about health-related issues are really simple ways of participating. But you can imagine the span of engagement thereafter. Getting involved in networks, taking leadership on a team project, presenting at a conference, participating in a webinar, and then sharing the knowledge with colleagues, engaging a mentor, advocating for your client, your program, or your profession, being a member of your professional associations, joining an OSOT team. As I say, there are many, many ways to engage with your profession. Look for a way that works for you, that challenges you at least a bit. We think you'll find this an incredibly rewarding habit, leading to professional development, networking, leadership skill development, even an intensified passion for what you do. In the end, this is what it's all about. We want to support you to be able to proudly and confidently show the world how much you have to offer as an occupational therapist. We hope that this shared wisdom from colleagues helps you live your profession with passion, that you find it to be all that you hoped occupational therapy to be, and that you find yourself in a fulfilling and rewarding career. I remind you that OSOT is here to be your professional resource now, as you transition into practice and throughout your professional career. Welcome to the profession. This concludes the presentation but it doesn't end our commitment of support. In fact, we hope this is just the beginning of a long-standing relationship. Please don't hesitate to contact us at any time should you have a membership or practice-related question. We wish you well as you transition into the occupational therapy workforce. Thanks so much for listening.